let's go back to master, create a new page, which is, yeah, attendee list. So we just promised to attendees that they're gonna be put in a list, but they are not yet. So we need to build a part which actually puts people on the list. So let's do that. Right now, what? Yeah, can close this. Sorry, I'm a bit confused quite often. Yeah, so this should not work anymore. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so this is the organizer page that we're seeing right now, and this is the list the organizer gets actually. This is a feature that we built last time, or started building last time, and then I finished because I got distracted and didn't know how to go on, so I quit the stream and continue after. Nah, I actually had to go, but still. But I managed to make that work, so you can actually print a PDF with the tickets, with the QR code. Everything's work here. But then I talked to a person who's going to be using this, and for that person it's just easier to have a list in the first iteration. So we don't need those tickets just yet. And also, as I said before, in some of the next iterations, I'm gonna build the feature that it's gonna send these tickets, right, these PDF files, in the mail, which is more sensible thing to do. Right, the person gets this, then goes to the venue, and the organizer scans it and confirms that it's a valid ticket. And yeah, but right now we're not doing that. So this order ID might stay here just so that the organizer can double check, but it's not. You know what? It doesn't need to be here. If they want to check, they can. That's kind of. So I'm thinking if the person calls them and says, "Oh, my order is this. How come I'm not on the list?" They still should be able to find the person here. So I'm gonna keep this field then. Yeah, it's okay. This is a horrible format. I know. Yeah, why is it so bad? How does it look here? Here it looks much nicer. Alright, we gotta fix the format to be a bit nicer. And then yeah, then what we want to do is add an email and a name here, or maybe here as a first thing. And maybe order it by email so that person can use that to look up people easily. So that's a good thing. But the problem with that is that we don't have the email or the name. Klarna has it. So we have two options right now. Either when we're creating this list right here, we can query for every order Klarna for the information. So that's something. The downsides with that is that we need to call per order. So if we would sell like 100 tickets, it's 100 calls to Klarna, which is manageable, I guess, but that wouldn't scale too well. I mean, if you imagine that you have, 100 people looking at it at the same time, and it's times 100 requests, it gets slower. The alternative solution for that is to actually store the email and the name when we get that, and we get that when when we get the confirmation from Klarna. And I think I'm going to go with that, because there's another benefit of going with that, and that is that the sending emails afterwards doesn't need to talk to Klarna anymore, because we have all the information. We have the email and the name. So for future, maybe that might be better. I don't know. One big downside with us storing the data is us storing the data. And as this is GDPR, we're storing personal data like email and name. We need to be more careful with it. But I mean, So the database is encrypted. Everything is going over encrypted transportation layer. So it's safe, I guess, safe as it gets. And yeah, in the terms of conditions that I've wrote recently, we specify that we collect this kind of information and that organizer gets them. So it's probably fine. And yeah, so let's start with that. So maybe, okay, let's fix the date first so that I don't forget about that. That shouldn't be too hard. That's just front-end change. Okay, so what we're looking at, let's start from the beginning because I'm confused, and if I'm confused and I know this code, must be horrible for you. So right, source, we have components, and then we're gonna go to organizer, which is where it is, I think. And then there is a organizer event page, maybe. Oh, sorry, yes. I'm gonna hide this horrible thing. And then there is event details, event links, event tickets. Is it event tickets that I call this? Yeah, I guess so, right? Okay, the page, event links is this blob right here. Yeah, it's event tickets. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. So what's happening here is that, we're doing this use context again, getting text and using it to print out some stuff that we did in the other page as well. We also have some state here, and yeah, and we have use effect like a pro. I'm sure I'm using it incorrectly, but the idea here is that you get an event sysid, which is like a string identifier, which is, I think it's called slug. This thing right here. That's an identifier that is stored in a database as well, and that thing is what we get. And then we call backend service and say, give me all the information about event. Call it event stats, like statistics. So how many tickets get sold and all the orders and stuff. Yeah, and what we do is set local state in this thing. Like set states. So I'm also using Redux for some stuff, but it didn't feel right to do it here, so I didn't. So I'm just using local state in this component for it. Because Redux is quite complicated. I tried to use it, or I'm still using it in this application on several places, but it gets a bit harder to read, I guess. Or maybe it's just me, I don't know. Okay, now we have this beautiful JSX code which says sold tickets and the number of sold tickets. And then, table with some headers. And then here we go per each line, so we can think of it as each order and put the data here. And looking at the created at, which is a date, right? This is not nice, so let's see what we can do with it. And it's a date. Yes, it is a date. So let's see. Okay, let's see what we can do with this. So whenever I'm trying to kind of come up with a good solution for a problem like this, right, I'm going here to console and try out stuff. So if we do new date, which is the text we have, this is what we get. There's a, how do you do it? Let's put it somewhere. And then you can say test, is there something like print? No. I know, I remember I'd done it a few times before, but then I never did it, so. There's a way to parse this nicely. Does anybody remember? No. Alright, Let's Google again. So JavaScript parse date, not parse, format date. I guess is what we want to do. Stack Overflow, that's where it at. I'm sure there was some nice thing to do. Doesn't need to be perfect. To local date string. I think I saw that. Yeah, you can use that. Where was my console? Did I close it? Oh, so I haven't thought anything about working. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So we can say test this thing. Does this work? Does. I think you have some options here. You can say null or undefined here. We can say options, and it's we can say there's like a include text or something. Format text, is it? Format time, maybe? Let's Google some more. Nobody remembers. Alright, so there's something about time. God damn it. Oh, there's local time, a local time string. Which one did we use? I assumed the wrong one. Yeah. Maybe that can help us. Are we doing this? Oh, now I see the text. Hi guys, sorry. Yeah, I'm not good at this. Now I see that you actually wrote something on the chat. What was the thing I wanted to write? Time, right? No. Thank you. So this just returns time, which is not what we wanted, but I guess we can just kind of compose those things together. Like this, right? With a little bit of space. Yeah, it's much better than this horrible mess. So let's try that. I don't need this undefined here either. So I have this thing. Let's try to do it in the code. Should be much more fun. Yeah, so we can either do it in line. Should be fine. Let's try it. Right. So that's how you do it, I think. As you could tell by now, JavaScript is not my best language. Well, maybe it is best language. Maybe just, yeah. Maybe I'm just not good at it. And what is that called again? To local time. Yeah. To local time string, I guess. To this string. This seems nice. This seems nice. Yeah. It's not a function. Oh yeah, because it's too local. Locale. Huh? No? Come on. I can hear you saying, use the type system, that's what it's for. So I'm gonna listen to you. Oh, come on. I was sure I was good at this time. No? What? Yeah, this thing. Yes, please. This isn't correct. Yeah, it isn't correct. Why is that? It's not a function. How is it not a function? What is it then? Is it just a field? But it worked with the time. Or did it? Let's do one at a time. Okay, this looks horrible. Right, this is what we're doing. It was two local time string, which totally says that it's function, by the way. And it totally isn't. Alright, so let's do something more fun. So this didn't work. I mean, let's try to figure out what's wrong with it. So, as you might notice, what I'm doing here, I'm mapping over stat, and then I don't have a call block here. In that case, this whole result is interpreted as a return value, which worked before. But if we want to do something more complicated, it's maybe not nice to do it in the return value here. So that means that we need to make it more complex a bit with, yeah, something like this. And then return here. Hopefully I'm going to format it soon so that it looks okay-ish. Alright, so this should still be fine, right? Yeah. And then we can do something like, yeah, const format to date. And do some lovely things here. So we said start. Now let's not do this. Let's just do start, created it to local a string, right? We have this. This should end up in format to date, and we should be able to do this. What's gonna happen now? It's gonna crash. Why do you not like my to local date string? What? Let's Google for this. It's not a function. It is, right? What people say. Oh, you know what? You know what's probably a problem? Oh, sorry. The date here, the start created at, which I think is date, it's probably not the date. Right? So let's, I don't know if we print this. Let's just comment this out, comment this out. You know what I mean? I mean, we get that from API call, and it's probably string at some point, and nobody cast it to date, so that's where I'm having this problem, I think. Or, yeah. So what I did right now is just print this. It's not too helpful, but I guess if you say new date, you get something else, right? So if this would be date, you would get this blob. So this is not the date actually. But it's okay. So what we could do is just say like new date on it, I guess. Or it's just this theory, right? And we could call like to local date string on it, and we would get rid of the problem, right? But that's not what we want to do, because I want this to be date. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to check out how we parse the response and do the conversion right there, so that I get a date, proper date here. That sounds weird, but yeah. So where are we doing this? Get event stats. Let's check what this thing does. Okay, so this is, I saw that in some tutorial and I thought it's neat. Created like folder API, put all my API calls there, so I can use that to do stuff and have it on one place. So get event stats calls endpoint this thing. Oh, let me show you on Postman what it does. Should have it somewhere. I should have it under events. No, organizer. Yes, here. It's a GET request and you send in, I think you can send both ID or sysID here. Yeah, I'm authorized. So I'm gonna do authentication on the other screen so that you don't see my secret passwords. Yeah. It's like streaming 101. Hide your password. I don't know why. Might be using the same password everywhere though. So I guess that would be a reason. Okay, this is much better. Sorry. Here it is. Now we have 500. This is beautiful, right? Yeah, sorry about that. So we got 500 because we got some nonsense error because I haven't covered this case, but it's probably because this order doesn't exist or something. So let's try the one that actually exists, like this one. Oh, you know what? I was actually stupid a bit. So it's not order sysID or ID. It's event. Crazy. So this is what we get back, right? We get the list of orders, and the created at is actually a string because JSON, right? And at some point, what we want to do is convert this string to a date format, which we did in the code, but we want to do it in the higher up code. So what we're doing here is handler response. So this is general code that I run on all my APIs, and we get response, and then I just call it to JSON. So that kind of works, I guess. I'm thinking how to do it in a generic enough way. Like in some way, I would like to, when we have this response, I would like to check what type is it supposed to be, and if it's a date and it's not now, to kind of cast it to it. Do you know what I mean? So I guess if we would just put this in a parsed JSON variable, sorry, not finishing my sentences. And I'm messing up everything now. Yeah, that's very good. That's a good stream material right there. Okay, thanks, Jurvin. Jurvin, how do you want to pronounce it? So I'm gonna call it JSON here and just print it out and see where is that at. Alright, I'm gonna go with Jurvin then, I think. Alright, it's promise, of course, it's promised, which complicates things, right, for everybody involved. Yeah, because this thing, I thought this thing resolves it, but it's not resolved, right? So this is promise of any. So who resolves this? Now let's keep this thing here. Because if we resolve it right now, that's okay, I guess. Can we resolve promise multiple times? I don't know. I don't know. Let's try it. We totally failed, but we got what we wanted here. Maybe. Data. Right, so we see that this is actually a string. That's good. And it's a bit harder though. How would we... So I have an interface of what I'm trying to cast to. That doesn't cut it, does it? Because we don't have this interface here. Let's see where we were before. Yeah, so here we get order stats, which is okay. So we have it here. How come we got rid of the data part? Do you know? Nobody knows. I might just do it here, I guess. Maybe. How do you chain stuff? I guess you can just say, let's try something, right? Let's say response. Okay. And we're gonna return response, which is a sensible thing to do. Why is it so red? Isn't response... Oh, come on. It totally is. It's the same thing. How do you do it? S? Is that the thing you do? Oh no, I know. Don't tell me. I think you can do this and be like a boss. It's still very red. So clearly you can't do this. It sounded promising though. Ah, I think you might need to put it in the brackets. Yeah, it's less red. Still red though. Yeah. Okay, let's just do it in there. I'm not gonna waste any more of your time watching me sweat with this thing that I can't solve. So easy thing we can do, which is, loser solution. Not really, but yeah, we can kinda do it here. As I was saying, that's a backup plan. I wasn't saying that, but I might have said that in my mind. You never know. So create it, add date. We're gonna say new date here and start created it. So that looks pretty good. And then we wanted to say, yeah, format to date. Why not? Sounds reasonable. Up. Create it. Oops. Oh yeah, I need to do squiggly lines. Squiggly lines for save. T, I guess. Yeah, it's really hard to talk and code at the same time. Maybe it's not hard. Maybe I just don't know how to do stuff. So, it was a bunch of quick coding. It was even hard for me to follow. just checking that it actually did something useful. So this is much more human readable, and as we are humans, it's easier to read stuff. But what I did here is I had a string value coming back from the API, as we saw. String meaning a bunch of letters, not a date object. And the date object has this method toLocale dateString and locale timeString that enables us to show it in a nice way. So first I needed to convert the string value text into the object, which I did in this line 57, and created an object, right? Create it should be created. Created at date. Naming is the key here. And then, then I just kind of formatted it myself here badly. So the format here is date and time, and there is a space in it. So this did what I wanted to. Although that doesn't solve the underlying problem that we had, but gets us closer. So I'm gonna commit this thing because I'm proud of it. Let's see what we did. And just this, didn't mess up anything else. Good. Format date. It's a pretty good message. All right.